Hey everybody, I've got about 12 minutes here, so I'm going to try my best to get this all in 12 minutes, or 11 minutes 44 seconds, depending on how you look at it. I want to talk about Mystery Inc., Mystery Incorporated, the new Scooby Doo revival, reboot of the Scooby Doo franchise. Now we all know that the first official season has ended. Now to many people, if you look at various sources, this season was actually split into two seasons. Seasons 1 and 2, due to certain backstage situations, if you will. Anyway, I want to give my thoughts on it. Now, this show, no doubt, has been received with a mixture of positive and negative reviews. Some have liked it, some have not liked it. And it's also had some mixed reviews. Some have liked it but see some bad things that can be improved, and some don't like it but see some good things that can help it be improved out of the negative. But let's take a look at it overall. Now, I'll be honest with you, I never really watched the series that much because, you know, the time it was on, and either I was doing, you know, something for my family, or I was working, or whatever. I never really got a chance to see it that much, but I did watch some clips here and there, and I read and I heard people talking about it, and from what I've heard people talk about and some of the clips I saw, I have to say it looks pretty good. So I was willing to give it a chance, watch maybe a few episodes, and I thought it was alright. I thought it was one of the better reboots, revivals of any franchise I've seen. Now, the one thing I like about it is they stay true to the original format. They, you know, the unmasking and all that. They keep the characters in the original designs. They add a few tidbits here and there, in the original outfit designs, that is. And, you know, one of the things I do like overall is, you know, they keep the design, the overall character design, kind of true to the original one. But what they've done though, is they made it more darker in tone, not just in animation, but in storyline, but in story. They made it darker in tone, if not more mature, because from what I've read and heard, they wanted to aim towards an older audience. Now, that older audience, as they said, as I mentioned, that they want to target it towards, is the audience that grew up with the original Scooby-Doo. Now, the one thing that they did that I think that brought that older audience back, that older fan base back, is that they have taken each and every episode and they have connected each and every episode to the next. And how have they done this? Well, they've done it in what's known as a serial format, or if you're a fan of teen novels, let's say one of the most popular novels out there right now, which is getting another theatrical release in a few weeks, Twilight. You know, just like a teen novel, it's divided. Every episode is a chapter as in a book. They're like a chapter in a book or in a novel. So basically, each episode is like reading 5 pages of a chapter. Anyway, that's one of the things that has really drawn the original fan base in, because the last time they did that, as far as I know, was with 13 Ghosts of Scooby Doo. Because if you remember right, with 13 Ghosts of Scooby Doo, they did the exact same thing. Every episode connected to the next episode in some way, because they were trying to tell one story, and that story was to get all the ghosts back into the chest of demons. Well, this one is kind of different, because it all revolves around one mystery behind one of the biggest mysteries in history, or in the history of the Crystal Cove city that they live in. But it's a mystery that nobody obviously wants them to solve, because it attracts money to the town. Now, one of the things I like about it, though, one of the things I do like about it too, is unlike in the previous incarnation, in the original incarnation, the one thing that they did to make it more, I guess you could say, realistic, is they actually have a sheriff voiced by Patrick Wahlberg, or Walterberg, or Waltberg, or whatever his name is, the guy that does Buzz Lightyear's voice in the animated series. They have him always catching Mystery Inc. and putting them in jail because they're disobeying everybody's warnings, they're disobeying his warnings to not solve the mysteries. The mysteries of Crystal Cove, because they would be ruining the revenue that's coming into it. Now, that's one of the things that I like about it, because that makes it feel more realistic, and then you have the parents get integrated in a more realistic way at the fact that they don't like the kids doing this. You got different classes of parents. You got Daphne's wealthy parents that don't like her hanging out with them. You got Fred's father, or supposed father, as we know, if anybody knows what I'm talking about, not liking him doing the trap deal. You got Velma's parents, who wanted to be, I guess, more down to earth instead of being, you know, who she is. And you got Shaggy's parents that want him, or at least his mom, that want him and Scooby to find new friends and stop hanging around Mystery Inc. And I think, obviously, when the new season comes out with episode 27, there's going to be a lot more explored about that. That maybe, in my opinion, the parents back when they were teens, maybe they wanted to be part of Mystery Inc. in some way, but never really had that opportunity. And I'm thinking that's going to be explored in some way. Like maybe Daphne's parents wanted to be part of Mystery Inc. But as long as they were made the leaders because they had the money and the wealth to help financially, or maybe, you know, Shaggy's parents were going to be part of them and doing maybe the only outing with them. They got scared real easy and ran off. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, I don't know. I just feel it's going to be, those situations may be explored more, hopefully. But I like how they make it more realistic in those senses. I also like how they explore the relationships of the characters even more so too. I like the fact that they do provide a bit of fan service by finally giving us Shaggy and Velma, and kind of doing a realistic thing of having Shaggy be given the ultimatum of either it's Velma or Scooby, and who's he going to choose. And knowing Shaggy's the kind of guy that doesn't want to choose, that he wants to try to balance it out. And then you have Fred and Daphne finally, you know, getting together later on in the series and actually getting engaged, to the point that like Velma and Shaggy don't want anybody to know about their relationship at the beginning. Daphne and Fred don't want to tell anybody about their engagement, but Daphne's forced to say something about it in the final episode, as her parents are trying to drag her away and say that she's forbidden to see Fred ever again. So overall, just a very good, very well done job in this overall revival. And I like the fact that it's got some kind of connection to an original Mystery Inc. gang that was driven out of town because of the same reasons or whatever. I like the fact that we find out that Fred Jones' father is not his real father, that his real father is the original leader of the original Mystery Inc. gang. I like how these are all brought in. It's really makes it more interesting. It makes it more, in a sense, and I hate to say this, a little bit more better than some of the originals or some of the other revivals. It makes it more, as they say, more realistic, more dramatic, more, like, makes you want more, makes you thirsty for more, craving more. So I hope they really capitalize on this in the upcoming season. Overall, it's definitely a show you have to watch and check out. So I'm going to try to catch up on it as best I can and record some of the episodes and, you know, like I say, catch up on it and, you know, definitely enjoy it as best I can. Get ready for the next season whenever it comes out. So yeah, it's just an overall great series. It definitely goes a lot more into background and stuff about an original Mystery Inc. gang and how their mascot was actually just a devious, self-centered mascot that was out for himself and stuff like that. It was just unbelievable. And I like the fact that one of the allies to the new Mystery Inc. is an original member, and that the guy that's and that the mysterious guy that's kind of helping them in some ways, the benefactor, if you will, is actually also an original member of the original Mystery Inc. So I like all that scenario. It really makes you, again, like I say, crave for more, wanting more. So hopefully they give us more. And to me, this is how you reboot and you revive a franchise, no matter if it's in a comic book or in a cartoon, and if it's based on video games or not. This is how you do it. This is how you do it. And I think a certain head writer, and I think a certain comic book company and a certain video game franchise can take a lesson from this if they want to do a revival cartoon on a certain video game hedgehog, if they know what I mean. And that would star not only him, but let's say a princess and a rabbit and a pink hedgehog and stuff like that, and a two-tail and a red echidna. You get what I'm saying. But overall, this is definitely worth the watch. So I'm going to catch up on it during the time I have. I suggest you guys catch up on it if you've never seen it. Check it out. And that's all I'm going to say. For those that have seen it, tell me if I missed anything. Comment down below. Do a video response.